Good evening and welcome to Wednesday night, sponsored by the Noohra Foundation. I'll go ahead and open with the Lord's Prayer in the Aramaic language, the way Jesus spoke it over 2,000 years ago. أوند وشميان قداش شماخ تأتي ملكوتاخ نهوي سويانمخ إكند وشمية أبر حولان لحمة سنكان يومنا وشوقلان حوبين إكنا داب حنان شوق لحيوين لا تعلن نسيونا إلا بصا من بيشا متول دي لاخي ملكوثة حي لو تشبحتا العالم عالمين Amen. Well, the Lord's Prayer today, I was like trying to find where do I want to start, and perfectly I landed on right after the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic. But before I jump in, this Saturday, Dr. Eriko is doing the Nuhra monthly talk, and it's about the soul. And if you haven't registered, I think registration closes on Friday. You can reach out to the Nuhra Foundation. That's there is money involved there. Unlike tonight is a love offering based event. That one there is a registration fee and a love offering if your heart speaks to you that way. So please reach out to the foundation if you haven't already. It should be very interesting. And it's like when things happen with us, things happen kind of like there's a multiplier somehow. Some of you, I know Dr. Eriko spoke about Kastrup, Bernardo Kastrup. He just released a new book, and it talks about the soul of the West. But I'm into the book already, and he talks about the West not as a geography, but at the state of mind, as a way of thinking. So I already finished the first chapter, jumping into the second section of the book, and I'm excited about that. It resonated with me. Anyway, so back to what I want to talk to you about tonight. Right after, so Jesus, in Matthew, we have the Hayla Tishbahta part that is not in Luke, which is glorifying God at the end of the prayer. So most scholars are not sure that. I don't think Jesus said Amen. Whether he glorified God at the end of teaching the prayer, it works both ways. But he focuses in the Lord's Prayer about the idea of forgiveness. And right after he finishes that, at least in Matthew and Luke is slightly different, he talks about the concept of forgiveness. And even in the Lord's Prayer, when he said, Washwoklan Haubain, it puts the burden of forgiveness on us for God to forgive us. And so forgiveness works in a double way. You forgive and you get forgiven, and the act itself is based on release. Washwak is to release, to untie, to free yourself. So Jesus goes on from there. Right after the Lord's Prayer, you can see it where his thought is. For if you forgive men, and Bnei Nasha is a similar, so men is translated as men, but it's really like the sons of humanity, the sons of the way it's spoken, like he was referred to himself as, or what referred to him as Bnei Nash. Is a son of, we call son of man, or so. It's just means a human being. So if you forgive human beings their faults, your Father in heaven will also forgive yours, or will forgive you. So remember, now we're talking about Jesus teaching how to exist in this spiritual realm that he's calling the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, where the governing rules and laws are not the ones that we societally created. They are above that. They are higher than that. And they speak to something very essential, which is the soul, which is our essence. So I'll continue because I want to talk a little bit about the essence. And then he talks about something you'll notice in this early stage of his ministry, and it's the deep part of his ministry, Matthew 5, 6, and 7. He uses the term hypocrites a lot. And the reason for that is he he watches how people behave externally. We have a tendency, if you notice a pattern of conversation in most cases, including in like the new form of news, there is a lot of duality of holding people to a higher standard than we hold ourselves. So the next almost all of the next talk is about how to become grounded. Jesus works really hard with his followers on grounding them into teaching them how to be comfortable in your own skin, how to understand your soul, what makes you happy and satisfied at the deepest level, instead of how society is defining that. So he goes on, and the first thing he hits on, okay, and this is relevant today. This is very relevant to today. When you fast, do not look sad like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces so that it may appear to men that they are fasting. Truly, I say to you, this is important, that they have already received the reward. See, that's the when we the, in Jesus's method of living, when you do anything good, do it in secret. And he will lay it out. Few verses from now, he will say it. Do all your good in secret. If you expose that your tout your or toot your own work and announce it, like in the case of fasting, then it has no, your spirit will not be satisfied. Right? You're wanting external validation. So when you do good, do it from the inside. So and so that's why he's calling it hypocrisy, is because you do good and then you take it away right away by disfiguring your look, and you're looking sad and tired and can't wait for the fasting period to end, and you get to eat a little bit more of the stuff that you deprived yourself from. And everybody, looks at you and taps you on the shoulder and tells you, "Oh, good job! You're doing the right thing." So the minute you get it out there, it fizzles, it loses its value. And that's where Jesus is really focused on. So, but as for you, when you fast, wash your face and anoint your head. Okay, so not only, so do your best to even hide the fact that you're fasting. Okay, so when you do good, you do your best not to let people, don't leave something out there that lets people know that you are doing the good, because you're doing it for you. That fasting is for you to feel with the poor. Fasting is for you to cleanse your body and your soul. Fasting is for you to understand yourself beyond the material. So there is a purpose for it, but then it becomes this expectation, societal expectation. And then, at the time of Jesus, there were people watching people who were not fasting. So you can see why somebody would look like they're fasting, even if they were cheating. They would make it look like they're fasting. So that's so important, that what you do in secret. Do not lay up. This is good too. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures buried in the ground, a place where rust and moth destroy, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourself a treasure in heaven, where neither rust nor moth destroys, and where thieves do not break through and steal. What is he talking about, right? So this is talking about material richness versus spiritual richness, feeding your soul versus feeding the outside, the physical, the social expectations, and so forth. So he's not speaking against wealth. He's not speaking against abundance. He's speaking about the why you do it, the what consumes you. So when you are working, laying stuff, just like fasting, right? Fasting teaches you to connect with the poorer people in your community, teaches you to give, shows you what it feels like to be deprived of food or water, depending on the type of fasting you're doing. So it makes you feel when you see somebody begging for food, when you see starvation in another community or in your community, when you see it on TV, you do not become numb to it. You know what it feels like. It hits you in your soul. It hits you at a deep level, not as a concept. So when you understand that, when you understand what it means, then you're building something bigger in you. You're bringing up that heavenly, that Christ-like being that you're born with. That is your right. For where your treasure is, there also is your heart, your libba. And when we use the word libba he said libhon, yours, so he applies it to them. But libba, even it's used today, and it's such a in the Near East, in Egypt, when people talk about your libba, they're not talking about this, thumping thing inside you. They're talking about your essence. Okay, so libba is it's not your heart, in your essence. So you're building something that becomes your definition. It brings you back to what he talks about being childlike, right? So that childlike, with that joy, with that understanding, with that love, with that intuition, that's what you're nurturing when you're fasting. That's what you're nurturing when you're building yourself treasures in heaven. So that's what he talks about. It's like, instead of focusing on, you will get the money, and he continues. So he continues to build this in the importance of focusing on your spirit, on your soul, on feeding yourself. And I know Rocco is with us. Rabbi, I hope I'm not taking. He hasn't told me what he's going to talk about on Saturday. He just said the soul. Just I read the same thing that you read, but this is really where Jesus is digging. This is where he's working. Then he talks about something, and I think I mentioned this before. The eye is the lamp of the body. If therefore your eye, the bright, sorry, be bright, your whole body is also lighted. But if your eye is diseased, your whole body will be dark. If therefore the light that is in you is darkness, how much greater will be your darkness? So remember, so he's not now, he's talking almost literally, because uh, if I close my eyes, I know we have other senses, but if I just close my eyes, this guy inside here, the gray matter that we put so much emphasis on, can't see, right? And if I go like this, I can't hear. This guy is lost, and it makes things up. And not only that, when your eyes are open and you're seeing the world from the kingdom perspective, when you're behaving from the kingdom perspective, when you are working in your community from the kingdom perspective, your whole being lights up. Your eyes become bright. And vice versa, because then you see the world also from a different perspective. So Jesus here is talking about how you can start nurturing even your brain, which is your way of thinking, your way of seeing the world, your way of judging, your way of envying, or of wanting something that might not be yours, or something that is your neighbor's. So he's getting again into root cause of how we slowly start this losing connection with our spirit, with our soul, and separate from God, separate from the kingdom. So do you see how like he just gave us the Lord's Prayer, which is like a condensation of all of this. If you don't want to get deep, but then now he's starting to explain to us how to really connect, and connect in even the simple things like looking. Like what you're when you ask somebody what is your 5-year plan, which is something that most young people coming out of college or even coming out of high school, it's like, what is your 5-year plan? Oh, I want to, own this and buy that and achieve this and achieve that, and become a CEO, become a VP, become, so these are the things where we the treasures that we lay out there, that we go trying to reach for. That's what our society puts emphasis on. Jesus is switching that, or actually telling us that's very dangerous. And the same thing with the way we perceive the world, with the way we let our eyes wander, see, want, envy. Okay. And we have plenty. I mean, these things are in everybody's hands. That's your eye, right? Your eye is here and it's feeding this and it's feeding your soul. And in a way, it's taking, for the most part, it's taking away from you. It's distancing you, it's separating you from your essence. We don't have a lot of time to reflect. We don't have a lot of time to study these things and really watch what we're doing. Nobody, now we have different types of fasting. Beginning of the year, I'm not going to drink wine for 30 days. I'm going to deprive myself of one of my pleasures. Uh, Good behavior, because it sets you on the right path. But is that is it something that's like a TikTok challenge, or is that something that your soul is telling you to work with, and you can build on that, and you can find yourself in that? That's what's important. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and like the other, or he will honor one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. And the translation is wealth, or materialism in general. We and materialism is really our way now of being like seen, of being identified, and it bombards us, and it's very subtle. I mean, we have more and more and more and more things, and less and less and less of us. And that's the balance that goes out of whack. And then you're not happy, because it doesn't matter how much you have, you're not finding you. You're not dealing with you, with what you're born with. And that's the risk of getting away. And it's very hard. So as I said, you can serve God and wealth comes your way. But if you go out and want to get wealth, and you forget God, and you're not aligned with, we're not even aware of how those two things work together. So that's the risk, is when we go to the workplace, to the economy and so forth, they want you to separate from your spirituality. It has no place in work. It has no place in the culture of work. And if you bring it in, you have to hide it. But then you can succeed in that setting. But if they discover it, and if they don't push it, they don't affiliate it, they don't associate it. There are no companies, or very few companies, who would say, we're here for the good of humanity. And then if we succeed economically, then that would be great, right? Or not even think about the economically. Look at there are a lot of efforts that are amazing, where people can can help people in places that just had natural disaster. They drop everything. They leave their job, they leave their families, and they go there with basically a little, backpack because they can't take stuff into disaster zones, and yet they live and they eat and they drink, and they might experience the same thing that the people they're helping experience, but they continue to exist and they come back richer and more satisfied. It's almost addictive, and they can't wait for the next disaster to go and volunteer and be a part of it, and they get disappointed when they can't. So think about that mindset. But we don't have it. It's not encouraged at a large scale to actually live that way all the time, where we're helping one another, where we're willing to go without eating or drinking, or not buying more clothes, or whatever it is that most of the time we're worried about and consumed by, and once in a while we volunteer. But those people, they come back and they're living the kingdom. That doesn't matter their religion, their nationality, what kind of disaster. Same thing with volunteer firefighters. They go spend days and days and days fighting fire, sometimes in the middle of nowhere with very minimal accommodations. They're sleeping in sleeping bags and so forth. But they exist, they last, and they help the society, they help the community, they save homes, they save pets, they save, forests sometimes, and yet they come back and they're just richer. And maybe they get paid minimum wage, but they are richer because they just nurtured their soul. That's what Jesus is talking about. For this reason, so this is what so this is how can I not be caught up in this dynamic that is around us all the time? The economy, the Wall Street, the yen is up. That this is the job report is up, the job report is down, the tariffs, and so I mean we're constantly bombarded with that. And then when you turn into religion, as I told you last time I spoke, you're hearing about the end time, the end time, the end time, the end time. What is Jesus? What is living? What is enriching your life today? It's all here. And we go right, I ask people, what did you hear about in church today? Some Old Testament this, some book of Revelation. I never hear somebody coming out of church saying, oh, we studied Matthew, verse 20. It was awesome. I feel so energized and I'm ready to take on the world. Yeah, it's like, oh no, I want to push war quicker, war so Jesus could come back. What? Jesus is going to come back to destroy and kill and kill the Jewish people he wasn't Christian, he was Jewish. He was a follower of the religion of Abraham and David and Isaac and Jacob. He wasn't following the Pope. He wasn't following the Episcopal Church or the Jehovah Witnesses or he what are we doing? It's maddening what I see in the media. It's maddening what I see in Christianity. People lost that connection with Jesus. They lost the connection with their soul. And religion today does not nurture your soul. It scares the heck out of your soul. And then you become disillusioned. You give your money to people who want to accelerate that. Jesus is coming back. 2,000 years. He even said it. Nobody will know when humanity will end, when this experience that we know is going to go away. And he knew his history. He knew that Abraham was almost 2,000 years before him. He wasn't preaching that, oh, Abraham was doing, now my time, it's going to end. No. And he predicted things that will happen where it might seem like the end for people. When he predicted that the Romans are going to be fed up and they're going to come and destroy Jerusalem and the temple and they're going to kill a lot of people because people are not finding spirituality. They're actually following political and geopolitical ambitions and worrying about what government is governing them. You can't worry about that. That's it's a much lower level of operating, and we see it everywhere. What do governments do most of the time? Some do take good care of their people, that the ones who actually the people, work with. Very few of those. Most of them are about control, 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 and then they go bump heads with each other and kill their own people in the process. As a citizen of the kingdom, you're operating at a different level. None of that is where you need to put your energy. Your energy is to bring peace, love, and understanding of one another, removing these stupid labels that we have about religion, about race, about ethnicities, those skin color. That's where the governments thrive. That's the first thing you fill in a form is ethnicity. What does that mean in this day and age? And you should read this book with Bernardo Castro. It's like there is no such thing. Yes, we do have DNA, we do have some genealogy, but but our essence is one. And this is what Jesus was counting on. We have one essence and one source for that essence, and he called it the Father, the Beloved. And we are all connected. We come from the beloved, we go to the beloved, and the beloved is not going to come at some point, change their mind, and kill all his children, or declare war on this race, or this country, or that country. And that's what most of religion preaches today. That's why we want people to establish an Islamic state, or a Christian state, or bring in Armageddon and stupid stuff. Okay, so I'm not going to read you, but why not? I'll continue something else. How am I doing on time? We're pretty good, actually. For this reason, I say to you, do not worry for your life. So this is a constant message also. What you will, so don't worry about your life, what you will eat and what you will drink, nor for your body, what you will wear. Behold, is not life much more important? He's now talking about the hierarchy of what's important than food, and the body than clothing. So we are constant, if we are dressed, we worry about something else. If we are not dressed and we can't find food, we worry about food. And that's the messaging that we have in a society and a community. Last week, Dr. Erica was talking about, foxes have holes and birds have nests. And the Son of Man, myself, this human being who's bringing all this lovely teachings to the world, doesn't know where he's going to put his head that night, or any night for that matter, or what he's going to eat. So you see, he's consistent. He's going like, don't worry about the small things. Don't sweat the small things. Do the goodness, and everything else will be given to you. And he says it, a few verses later, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Righteousness is important. It's like, what is the kingdom of God? Is righteousness. Is what is all the right things. That's your moral compass. That's what drives us. This is our spirit. This is our soul. We want that goodness, and if we start manifesting goodness and wanting goodness for everybody else, then we have the kingdom. Sounds very simple. I know it takes a lot of work, especially when you're constantly bombarded by other things from religion and corporations and the TV and social media and your family, all the challenges that we put each other's in. And that's what Jesus is like. No. Just wake up and think. Do the right things. Try to do them all the time. And remember, I started with forgiveness. We are going to slip, and the literal word for sin and error is basically slipping, is sliding, is making a mistake. And nobody wants to fall when they're walking, but sometimes you slip and slide and you fall. It happens. Okay, your intention is not to fall and make the mistake. Your intention is to reach your goal. And sometimes we reach our goals the wrong way, and we know it. And he's saying, forgive, forgive yourself, forgive the other who slipped maybe towards you, but don't dwell in it, because it drags you down. The soul likes to be, the less you put on top of it from guilt, from error, from lack of forgiveness, all these things kind of suppress your essence. And you need to get out of that. Also, your desires, also the way you look, the envy, all these things are constantly pressing your spirit down, pressing you down. And we're not aware of it because it just slowly accumulates. And then you're going like, why am I walking around not happy? Why is this world so bad? The TV has what are the 400, 500 channels now with all the streaming services. You choose which one to tune into. You can tune into a cartoon that you used to watch when you were a kid, and you probably would be lost laughing, or you might be horrified because of the things that we were exposed to. A lot of violence, a lot of inappropriateness, and but at when you don't have the judgment and you're a child, it's just funny for the sake of funny, and they become your heroes, and you relate to them. And same thing with TV shows and so forth. You go watch stuff that wasn't the norm back, that we have today, and you take it face value, you might enjoy it. We have some horrific things. We have a lot of racism. We have a lot of bad things, including violence and so forth. But when you take it innocently and your intent is innocent, then it doesn't affect you. It doesn't damage your soul. It just gives you joy. And think about it. That's that the eye that's seeing that thing, and the pure mind that you have when you watched it is different than the one you have today, and influenced differently. So the soul itself is not changing. It's your programming is what's changing. And so you can almost do the same thing. And you put the child in front of that, they're not going like, Mom, this is very racist. They don't know. They're just going to be giggling like hell or scared like hell, like we were when we were kids. And if you're watching it, you'd be horrified. Observe the birds of the sky, for they do not see. He's constantly talking about, he was in nature. The guy was walking from village to village, and he was watching and going like, why are we so damn worried? Look at the birds. They find water, they find shelter, they find food all the time, and they are from the same spirit that we are from. But we just created all this desire to control, desire to own. We created an ownership system. Instead of saying this is a fig tree and all of us can eat from it, no, I bought the land, therefore nobody can touch that fig. If the figs fall on the ground, I'd rather see that than somebody coming and picking them, but without paying me. That's the mindset. That's the social human ownership structure, and we don't see past it. And good people will allow any stranger who's walking by the street to pick from their tree. How many figs can you eat to damage somebody who has like 100 fig trees and has a commercial operation? But today we put fences, and we put guards, and we put cameras so nobody can reach and take a fig, and you'll find a security car coming at you, and they might arrest you for trespassing. Different mindset. Jesus grew up with that. We see him with his students when they're walking from place to place, and they see some ears of wheat, and they just pick the green wheat, and go like this and get the wheat out of it. It's so yummy. I used to eat it when I was growing up. And then, but there were people watching them going like, oh, you did that on the Sabbath, you shouldn't do that. Even then, the same people who were watching, they were watching Jesus, and he just dismissed them. He just always had a smart answer to get rid of their small-mindedness. Who is among you who by worrying can add 1 cubit to his stature? So again, worry. He wanted his people to be free from worry. Okay? If you live in the kingdom, you don't have any worries. And think about the things that you worry about. Make a list of it when we're done here, or while I'm talking. Sometimes like I worry about this. I'm worried about that. I'm worried about this. I used to go to a lot of business meetings, and you'd see a grin on my face the minute somebody has those words come out of their mouth. I'm worried about. I'm concerned. I'm concerned. It's like, okay, so what's your plan not to be concerned? That's always and sometimes I was not the highest guy on the totem pole. I was very low on the totem pole when I would actually would say, this is not productive. Worrying is not productive. We have a problem, we solve it. We have a need, we need to figure out how to address that need. But if you just worry, and I have worked, and sometimes I worry, but then I go like, okay, what's the action plan? As soon as I hear the feel myself worrying, yeah, because worry does not make any difference, does not change the world. And that's what we need, is where it's like, I'm worried about the situation. What are you doing about it so it's not worrying you anymore? Are you sending them help? Are you praying for them? Are you talking to your friends about, are you becoming more educated about that situation so you can speak intelligently about it and feel good about, what's happening? And sometimes, as I said, it could be horrific, but we have volunteers, we have people who go and help these places that are struggling. And okay, please, if you have any questions, I'm getting a couple questions here, but if you have any questions, drop them into the Q&A box, please. See, but I say to you, so no, he's talking about nature versus the beauty of nature versus what we make as beauty, and we're constantly changing our perception of beauty. This house style is in fashion, and this kitchen type is in fashion. This is how we define beauty, and this hairstyle, this clothing style. We constantly change that. If you look at nature, it changes very slowly and mainly for survival. Very rarely does it change for the sake of, the pink flowers are no longer fashionable, so I'm going to start producing white flowers. Nature doesn't do that. We do that. Okay, so I'm jumping a few verses. Oh, now if God clothes clothes in such fashion the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow falls into the fireplace, is he not much more mindful of you, O you of little faith? So this, so governing everything is the spirit that he called Allah. And he sees that beauty of something that's, and we are the same way. We are like the grass. The grass maybe gets, 3 4 months if you're watering it, then it's beautiful and green and lush, and then it turns brown, and sometimes you have to take the whole lot and toss it away and bring it, buy a new lot of grass that's fresh when the season is back for it. That we are the same way. We look, and sometimes when we are at our peak, we feel so important, and our physical being and our strength is the most important thing in the world. Eventually, we start, looking like the grass, getting, older and older, wrinkly and so forth. And we disappear. We don't get thrown into the fire, thank goodness, unless you think of cremation as that. But our bodies leave. Spirit, though, continues to be. The spirit doesn't age. And I've talked to, I've known this secret for a very long time, because I've often spoke with older people, and it's like the essence of life is there. I still have the same essence of life. I watch a bunch of kids playing soccer. My spirit tells me go play with them. My body goes, you're gonna get an ankle injury, and you're this step away from, this far away from surgery. But my spirit doesn't know that. My spirit wants joy. And that's what this is what Jesus is emphasizing. Is emphasizing that things that we put a lot of emphasis on is not important. Your spirit, growth of your spirit, nurturing of your spirit. That's where your focus needs to be constantly, not worry. For worldly people seek after all these things. Your Father in heaven knows that all of these things are also necessary for you. So necessity is necessity. We'll find food, but when you put the emphasis on it, then you lost your connection. Your faith is gone, and your focus is changed, and then you distance yourself. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will look after itself. Sufficient for each day is its own trouble. And when I attended the Unity for a few years, they had the term of the eternal now. This is what the essence of the eternal now. That's all we have. If you waste it looking back, you're wasting it. And if you're moving forward, if you're thinking about worrying about tomorrow, you're missing now. This is and there are no guarantees. I've seen so many people who had set goals by age blah, by when I retire, when I do this, when I do that, and I've seen a lot of them lose their life, lose their ability to be physically active, lose financially, lose something where those goals never manifest. And what did they miss? The now, because their focus was on stashing things or making plans for then. And you just live your now. And I know it's very hard in today's society, and I'm not telling anybody not to put money into their retirement accounts, or because we have to figure out how to exist, yeah, under the current social rules that what's defined for us. But I'm telling you that should not be your focus. All that will happen. And in the meantime, live your life fully, live it fully. And when you're doing and do a lot of good, because that's how your soul continues to be active and happy and joyful, and your impact on this world will be felt. And that's part of that, laying treasures in the ground versus in heaven. Good people will be remembered. People who have billions and trillions, when they die, they die. They die. $1 trillion in the bank account, and you're gone. We see some of them die young, and we see some of them, live a long life. But ultimately, all this physical, the 20 mansions and the $1 trillion in the bank account and the shares in this company and that company, when you're gone, you're gone. What did you do when you had this chunk of life, whether it's a day or 120 years? How did you live it every day? That's Jesus's focus. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry. Don't dwell in the past. And when your soul goes out of alignment, that's the secret of forgiveness. Is that if there is something that's weighing you down from something that happened between you and somebody, or somebody did something to you, or you did something, that's why it's that the Aramaic word of shwak, to release, is because then you remove that layer from oppressing and suppressing your soul. You just let it go. And sometimes it takes multiple attempts to let it go. But once it's gone, once you truly feel free from that the hold it has on you, then you can move forward. And all this is supported by today's science and psychology and so forth, but they have different terms for it. Jesus was a country boy from Nazareth. He was, he grew up in villages. He dealt with farming and with shepherding and watching nature. So he didn't have the big dictionaries, but he had the same exact idea that today all of our sciences is proving. But we're losing perspective too, because we're just keep picking at the same thing instead of living. So live. That's his message. Well, I was going to start with chapter 7, but I think I'm gonna stop at the end of chapter 6. So how are we doing on time? I have 15 minutes for questions. The first one, absolutely. Could we pray for a Christian who was murdered today, Charlie Kirk? I would say if absolutely, that we just saw something horrific happen in our country. I don't, my stance on violence and use of weapons, and and the divisions that we have. So absolutely, I know his soul is eternal, and I know that he's came from the beloved Awun, and he's back with the beloved Awun. He's a part of Allah, and he's still, and now in maybe a purer form, a part of Allah. And there are so many people who also lost their life tragically today and many places. And we always should feel that way about them. That there is the comfort that we have of knowing that they're coming, that they're going back to where they came from. And they're unfortunately what we call the human experience, this life, in this case was cut short, and by somebody else's violence. But we see that we saw people bombing other countries yesterday. We see people from the same countries going after each other. But that we can't. I mean, we can't let that also weigh us down. So thank you for bringing that. It just happened today, and it just happened a few hours ago. I know it's something that hits all of us, regardless of what your political views are. There is a young man who's 31 who did what he believed in, and somebody didn't like that. And that's fundamentally a big problem in our society today, especially here. We saw a few months ago somebody went after two Democratic people in Minnesota. So that mindset is not Jesus. That mindset is not the kingdom. Absolutely. So this is a statement. It's not a question. The best good that I can do is a good that no one knows that I've done. Absolutely. And that's where that's Jesus. And the difference is that it really is when you do that good and you don't tell anybody, and people will notice it. So eventually, if you're constantly doing good things, people will. But your satisfaction is not that they know. Your satisfaction is that you're setting an example. You're bringing that goodness to the world, and nothing else matters. And sometimes people won't look like that, and they'll become jealous of you for doing that. None of that should affect you. Just keep doing the good. Um, I have a message in chat. Thank you. It's a comment. So, what is today's pathway to practical Christianity? Uh, this work. This work. Spread it. Live it. Tell your friends about it. Tell your enemies about it. And but no. So one of the things that Jesus soon talks about, and I think since I have about 10 more minutes, I'll go into some of that. He talks about the risk of sharing also these teachings with people who are not ready for it. See, sometimes we feel like we have the answer, but it's not about having an answer here. It's having an answer in your behavior, in the way you love, in the way you care. And sometimes if people are receptive, they will ask you, where are you getting this? Why are you being this way? And that's when you can share with them, and be careful in what you share, because sometimes it will backfire. But if they're receptive, they're open, they're coming to you because they're seeing how good you are, then give them the link, give them a talk, give them go clip something that resonated with you from my talk, from Rocco's talk, and send it to them. Say, if this is what we were talking about today in the office. Here's a little snippet. And that's how this spreads. It never was intended to spread via institutions. It was always meant to be to spread through the works of good people. That by your works they'll know you. By the way you love one another, they'll know you. And he wasn't exclusively talking about apostles loving apostles and Christians loving Christians. He was talking about humanity. When you love your neighbor and the person you run into in the store and the person you work next to and the person who just joined your family via marriage or the child who was just born. That's and it's unlimited resource. Love is one of the is the most unlimited resource we have in life. Oxygen might run out. We go into space, there is no oxygen. But bring me 100 nieces and nephews, and they'll all get the same amount of love that the other ones are getting, and I won't run out. Tomorrow, bring me another 100. I'll love them, and I'm not talking about just my nieces and nephews. I'm talking about any child. I'm talking about any human being who's here. That's Jesus. That's the unlimited resource. And because our soul is all connected, there is no barrier between us. If you let it, there won't be a barrier. The barrier comes from this, but Jesus addressed that. These are your lights. These are your headlights. And this is what influences that. What influences your way of thinking. If you let poison come in here and you watch a lot of poison, then you end up committing the stuff that we just prayed for or against, right? They didn't see the humanity, they didn't see the connection, they didn't see the kinship. They saw somebody who's on the other side and I don't know all the circumstances, so I'm not judging even the person who committed this sin. It is sin, it's an error. Okay, in Aramaic, the sin is the error. Okay, so they miss the target. They'll mature, they'll learn. If they get caught, society might make them pay a price. But ultimately, they lost their humanity. At the moment they had that thought, where is their minister? Where is their mentor? Where is their community? Where are their parents? Where are their brothers and sisters? Those are the lines of defense against these actions. It's not government. It's not law. It's not the guy who's selling guns. It starts when you're being raised. And unfortunately now, even in churches, as I said, a lot of churches are preaching war, collecting money to send to warring countries to accelerate the coming of Christ. What are we thinking? That's the same mindset that killed that young man. So go spread love. Go forgive, including the person who committed the murder. Forgive them, forgive yourself, and then be light-hearted, and then go and make your world a better place and make your life full of joy. Don't let that also, depress you and make you feel bad about yourself. You are a child of God, you're connected, you have the same spirit as Jesus did, the same spirit all of us on this call have, the same spirit that spins around the whole world and takes care of the birds. So use that to give you the power and give you the will to turn the page and continue to exist in this beautiful kingdom of heaven that we have. God bless you. Hopefully, I'll see some of you on Saturday with Dr. Erico, and he'll be doing at least one, maybe the next couple lessons. So till then, thank you for your time. Thank you for your contributions and your support. And our numbers are growing on YouTube. I know that some of it is your work and letting people know about it. So appreciate that. And the quicker we can, bring people into this message, the happier we'll all be, because we'll all be coming into the kingdom. It's not about me. It's not about Dr. Erico. It's really about the message of this lovely man named Jesus of Nazareth, who gave us a way to coexist with joy. Take care.